Have you seen this movie before? In one corner, a Gen Z new hire Slack messaging their friend, "My boss just gave me feedback and it was so passive-aggressive. I literally want to quit." And in the other corner, a millennial manager staring at their screen, muttering to themselves, "I gave one piece of constructive criticism and now they're acting like I keyed their car. I just don't get it." These aren't scenes from a workplace drama. They're the daily low-grade skirmishes happening in offices everywhere. The question is, are you an unwitting soldier in this generational Cold War? And what's really going on beneath the surface of these seemingly petty clashes? A landmark 2024 Gallup analysis reveals that employee engagement, especially among workers under 35, has plummeted to a 10-year low. This isn't just about hurt feelings. Gallup estimates this wave of disengagement costs the global economy a staggering $8.9 trillion. That means left unchecked, these quiet conflicts could literally burn out your team and your bottom line. Today we're going into the trenches. We'll dissect 5 classic workplace conflicts between Gen Z and millennials, expose the deep-seated reasons behind them, and most importantly, give you the practical peace treaties to de-escalate any standoff. Don't let generational misunderstandings sabotage your career. Hit that subscribe button for GENSHIFT and let's get your official guide to workplace diplomacy. Conflict 1. The after-hours ambush. The 10 p.m. email versus the hard log-off. Our first flashpoint. It's 10:15 p.m. on a Tuesday. Alex, a millennial manager, finally gets the kids to bed. With a burst of late-night productivity, they fire off a few emails outlining tasks for the next day. One of those lands in the inbox of Chloe, their Gen Z direct report. Chloe's phone buzzes on her nightstand. She sees the work email and her stomach clenches. Her evening peace is shattered. The next morning, she's quiet resentful, and her productivity is shot. Alex just sees a disengaged employee completely unaware they triggered the conflict. So what's the real fight about? It's not the email. It's a fundamental clash over the very definition of the workday. For millennials like Alex, who entered the workforce during the hustle culture boom and post-2008 financial crisis, being always on was a survival mechanism. They adapted to prove their value in an unstable economy. Responding after hours became a norm, a sign of dedication. Data from a 2023 Deloitte survey shows that 30% of millennials answer work emails outside of normal hours, at least 5 days a week. For them, the boundary between work and life is a flexible, permeable membrane. For Gen Z like Chloe, the story is entirely different. They are digital natives who grew up with the clear on-off switch of the digital world. More importantly, they witnessed the consequences of millennial burnout and have actively made work-life balance their #1 priority when choosing an employer. A 2023 survey confirmed this anxiety, finding 27% of Gen Z are dissatisfied with their work-life balance, a higher rate than any other generation. For them, work is an app you close at 5 p.m. That late-night email isn't just an email, it's a digital invasion of their personal sanctuary. The peace treaty here requires empathy and technology. For millennial managers, your new best friend is the schedule send button. You can write your email at 10 p.m., but schedule it to arrive at 8:05 a.m. the next day. This respects your team's boundaries without sacrificing your own workflow. It's not about working less. It's about communicating with intention. For Gen Z employees, it's about setting digital boundaries. Turn off work notifications after hours. You have a right to disconnect, but also consider initiating a team conversation about communication norms. Frame it not as a complaint, but as a strategy for success to make sure we're all fresh and productive. Could we establish some core communication hours? This proactive approach shows maturity. Ultimately, companies can solve this by establishing clear policies. The decline in engagement is directly linked to a drop in role clarity. Gallup found that the number of employees who know what's expected of them has fallen 10 points since 2020. A simple policy on after-hours communication provides that clarity and turns down the heat for everyone. Conflict 2, the feedback fallout, brutal honesty versus toxic curtness. If the when of work is a battleground, the how of communication is a minefield. Picture this, a Gen Z employee, Ben, pours his energy into a new report and sends it off. His millennial manager, Sarah, is swamped. She reviews it, sees a few key errors, and fires back a quick one-line email. "This needs more work. See my edits in the doc." No "Hi, Ben," no "Thanks," and certainly no emoji. Ben reads it and his heart sinks. He doesn't see efficiency, he sees anger and disappointment. He spends the rest of the day feeling demoralized, wondering what he did wrong. This isn't a case of Gen Z being too sensitive, a common critique leveled by managers. This is a classic case of a code-switching failure. Millennials were trained on email as a formal, efficient tool. They prioritize directness and often see conversational niceties as corporate fluff that slows things down. They expect structured, if sometimes blunt, feedback. Sarah thinks she's being clear and saving time. She's broadcasting on AM radio, low-context text only. But Gen Z grew up on a different frequency. They are fluent in the high-context, emotionally rich language of instant messaging platforms like Slack, Discord, and iMessage, where emojis, GIFs, and even punctuation convey critical tone and meaning. For them, a message without these emotional cues isn't neutral, it's actively negative. It's like getting a text that just says K. You know you're in trouble. They also crave frequent informal feedback. A GNHQ study found over 60% wanted at least every few weeks, so a curt, infrequent email feels both harsh and insufficient. The solution requires both sides to adjust their dials. For millennial managers, the old feedback sandwich is stale. It's time for the PAC protocol: praise first, be actionable, provide context, and check your tone. Simply starting with "great first draft, Ben," and adding a thumbs up emoji would have transformed that interaction. It's not about coddling, it's about providing complete data. As a Columbia University analysis and Harvard Business Review suggests, feedback for Gen Z is most effective when it's framed around what success looks like, not just a list of failures. For Gen Z employees, the lesson is to not infer malice from brevity. Assume positive intent until proven otherwise. If an email feels cold or unclear, don't spiral. Seek verbal clarification. A simple, "Hey Sarah, just wanted to quickly connect on your feedback to make sure I'm on the right track," can diffuse the entire situation and get you the clarity you need. It's about learning to separate the message from the medium. Conflict 3, the innovation impasse: proven process versus disrupt everything. Let's move to the team project where the battle lines are drawn between experience and experimentation. A new project kicks off. The millennial team members, drawing on years of experience, lay out a detailed, tried-and-true plan. Before they can even finish, the Gen Z members are already questioning it. Why are we using this old software? There's an AI tool that could do this in half the time. This whole workflow seems inefficient. Why don't we try? The millennials feel their hard-won expertise is being dismissed as obsolete. The Gen Z members feel their innovative ideas are being stonewalled by a "we've always done it this way" mentality. This isn't just about old versus new, it's a power struggle over the source of authority. Millennials built their careers in more structured environments where authority was often derived from experience and tenure. They've seen projects fail, and their reliance on proven processes is a form of risk management born from that experience. Gen Z, meanwhile, are digital natives who are more likely to prioritize entrepreneurial pursuits and value individual achievement. They are comfortable with rapid iteration and see authority as rooted in relevance and innovation, not just time served. To them, a legacy process isn't a respected tradition. It's a system bug waiting to be patched. The peace treaty here is to build a bridge between experience and experimentation. The key, is highlighted in research from McKinsey and others, is creating a clear structure that allows both generations to leverage their unique strengths. The first strategy is the innovation sandbox. Instead of a flat "no," managers should say "show me." Carve out a small, low-risk part of the project and let the Gen Z team members test their new tool or workflow. This gives them the autonomy they crave while containing the risk. The millennials can act as advisors, evaluating the results based on their experience. The second strategy is reverse mentoring. Formalize a partnership. Pair a millennial with a Gen Z team member. The millennial's job is to share strategic wisdom, the why behind the process. The Gen Z member's job is to share technical innovation, the how it could be done better or faster. This isn't just a nice idea. Companies that implement these cross-generational collaboration models see massive returns. Trebek reports that firms like IBM and Johnson & Johnson have boosted project efficiency by 20% and development speed by 25% respectively. This turns a point of conflict into a source of competitive advantage. Okay, quick pause. Which of these first three conflicts hit a little too close to home? Are you team schedule send or team hard log off? Drop your "oh, that's my office" story in the comments below. We believe sharing is the first step to healing people. Conflict 4. The ambition abyss, too fast, too furious versus pay your dues. Here's a conflict that plays out in almost every performance review. A high-achieving Gen Z employee, Maria, has been at the company for 12 months. She schedules a meeting with her millennial manager, David, and asks, "What's the path to my next promotion?" David is floored. He thinks, "I was in this exact role for 3 years before I even dared to ask that question." He gives a vague answer about continuing to learn. Maria leaves feeling completely stalled and unappreciated and immediately starts polishing her resume. David sees entitlement. Maria feels invisible. The truth is they're having two completely different conversations because they have fundamentally different definitions of promotion. The millennial career path was often a slow, linear climb up a rigid corporate ladder. They entered a workforce where paying your dues was a non-negotiable rite of passage, especially in the tight job markets they faced early on. Gen Z, however, has vastly different expectations shaped by online transparency and intense financial pressures. A 2023 Ripple Match survey found that a stunning 70% of Gen Z expect a promotion within their first 18 months on the job. But here's the crucial twist that most managers miss. A 2025 Deloitte study revealed that only 6% of Gen Z even list reaching a senior leadership position as their primary career goal. So what's going on? The conflict is a misunderstanding of ambition. When David hears promotion, he hears, "I want your title and salary." But when Maria says promotion, she's often asking for something else entirely. "I want to feel like I'm growing and being recognized." She is seeking velocity and development, not necessarily a specific destination. She wants what McKinsey calls micro milestones, new skills, new responsibilities, and the feeling of forward momentum. The manager's failure to provide a clear path for development is a primary driver of disengagement for this generation. The solution is for managers to redefine their concept of career progression. First, create a transparent growth path instead of a vague ladder. This path should have smaller, more frequent milestones. It could be a title change from associate to senior associate, a small performance bonus, or the opportunity to lead a small project. These things satisfy the deep-seated need for recognition without breaking the company's compensation structure. For Gen Z employees, reframe your ask. Instead of "when do I get promoted?" try, "what are the key skills I need to develop to take on more responsibility and add more value to the team?" This shifts the focus from entitlement to initiative and aligns your goals with your managers. It shows you're invested in the team's success, not just your own title. This proactive stance is what turns a manager's skepticism into advocacy. Conflict 5. The purpose problem, profit above all, versus impact is everything. Our final conflict cuts to the very core of why we work. The company holds an all-hands meeting. A millennial VP announces that due to budget cuts, the company's corporate social responsibility program is being significantly scaled back. The leadership team frames it as a tough but necessary business decision to protect the bottom line. In the audience, the Gen Z employees are looking at each other in disbelief and outrage. They feel the company has just auctioned off its soul. This clash happens because each generation is performing a different risk calculation. Millennials, especially those now in management, are often caught in a pragmatic bind. They value purpose, but they also carry the scars of economic downturns and are beholden to KPIs and shareholder expectations. They are more likely to view a decision like this as a regrettable but logical business compromise. For Gen Z, there is no compromise. They see no daylight between a company's ethics and its brand. The data is undeniable. The 2024 Deloitte survey found that 86% of Gen Z say purpose is key to their job satisfaction, and a remarkable 44% have actually rejected an employer because their values didn't align. A Forbes report noted that 71% expect their employer to contribute positively to society. For them, CSR isn't a PR initiative. It's a core component of the psychological contract they have with their employer. Here's the deeper disconnect. The millennial manager sees the primary risk as financial missing profit targets. The Gen Z employee sees the primary risk as moral and reputational, losing the trust of their employees and customers. They are fundamentally disagreeing on what constitutes the company's most important asset. The peace treaty begins with radical transparency. Leaders cannot hide behind business jargon. If a tough call has to be made, explain the why in excruciating detail. Better yet, involve employees in the solution. Frame the challenge collaboratively. We have to reduce this budget by 30%. Let's form a task force to figure out how we can achieve the most impact with our new constraints. For Gen Z employees, the key is to channel outrage into action. Instead of just protesting the decision, research and propose a lower-cost employee-led initiative that still fulfills the company's values. Maybe it's a local volunteer day instead of a large donation. This demonstrates business acumen alongside your passion, a combination that leaders can't ignore. For organizations, the ultimate solution is to stop treating purpose as a department. Weave it into the core business model. When your social impact is directly tied to your product or service, it becomes resilient to budget cuts and builds the kind of authentic trust that this new generation of talent demands. Conclusion. So there you have it. 5 generational battlegrounds decoded. From 10 p.m. emails to debates over purpose, these clashes aren't really about Gen Z being entitled or millennials being out of touch. They are the growing pains of a historic shift in how we define work value and success. The key to peace isn't about one side winning. It's about both sides learning to speak the other's language. The future of work belongs to teams that achieve intergenerational fluency. It will be led by managers who can coach rather than command, and built within cultures that value both the wisdom of experience and the fire of innovation. Remember, every generation brings a unique gift to the table. True strength is found when we learn to respect, adapt, and build a workplace that works better for everyone. What was your biggest aha moment from this video? Comment below with the one tip you're going to try at work tomorrow. And if you found this valuable, share this video with a colleague or your boss. It might just be the conversation starter you both need. Finally, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for GENSHIFT. We're here to keep dissecting the workplace's toughest challenges so we can build its brightest future together.